All right. So do we have an opening?
Hi, I'm Dan,
Hi, I'm Chris, and
and this is our opening.
this is our opening. I like it. We're going to do cold opens. That's awesome. We're just going to jump right into the conversation. And you, my friends, are listening to Dan and Chris Save the World, Episode 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Boogaloo,
Boogaloo.
boogaloo.
Anyway, I got to stop saying that though because the bad guys have taken that phrase over. So we don't want to glorify that anymore.
Right.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm surprised at how actually entertained people were by our first episode.
I'm glad they were. I mean, it was
I'm
just it was
excited about it. Yeah.
it was very fun just to have us sit and talk about
Right.
us and whatever comes to mind. And I was thinking that we should maybe talk about the six dudes,
Okay, that's a thing.
just
Um,
because it's kind of a big part of how we got of our early friendship there.
it is, and it was what I might get in trouble with a couple of people because I'm going to use past tense a lot, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the hour here. Um, but yeah, that was like a core of who we were for a very long time. Now, for those of you who are keeping score. And have been enjoying the fact that this podcast has basically been so far a history of Dan and Chris. Just before our senior year, our buddy Mark Huber decided he wanted to do T-shirts. I'm going to attribute it to Mark, but I'm not sure. I think might have been there was. I know I was not exactly a part of the T-shirt decision right off the bat.
Okay.
But there was we should do T-shirts. This is our senior year. We should do something like really kind of cool and funny. And there was a handful of us that were kind of talking about. I do remember one of the early conversations being on the front porch at my mom's house, and it was summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this, that, and the other thing, coming up with logos and whatnot. And so this is how it kind of snowballed, because I started coming up with logo ideas, and I'm like, these guys and this guys, and I came up with little catchy phrases and nicknames and whatnot. And then I drew up this really kind of, it almost like Mel Brooks's History of the World Part 2 or Part 1, the font that he used for the title screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Six Dudes of Doomsday. And I just thought it sounded interesting, the Six Dudes of Doomsday. And I showed it to Huber, and he's like, okay, I like the idea, but I don't like the doomsday part. It's not cool. That's not hitting with me right now, but we'll just chop it down to six dudes. And I'm like, all right, that's a thing. And it didn't click with me yet.
Okay.
But so I came up with the original logo, and Mark saw it and is like, no, this isn't quite exactly, but let's do this. And I'm like, okay, the six dudes. All right, that's fine. And because it was me, it was him, it was our buddy Rudy, who you'd known. You and Rudy were really close for the first
We were
couple
really
of years.
close at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was you.
Senior years, me and Rudy were really close, yeah.
Right. And it was you and Brian and our buddy Steve Tartaglia. Mm-hmm. And so there was the six of us. Okay, cool. So there's six dudes. Okay, cool. And then we just out of just happenstance just picked numbers randomly. Mark and I did. So we made him the first dude because he's pretty much he was always our ringleader at the time. If there was something going on, Mark was usually not so much calling the shots, but kind of like guiding the action or saying, hey, come meet me here or come do the thing. So he was the ringleader. Mm-hmm. I picked 2 because number 2 has always been kind of a favorite number of mine. Mm-hmm. I joke about the fact that, a year later when I was in college, I lived on campus. I was in the second dorm to ever be built. I was on the second floor in room 222, and I had too many classes. So
a lot of twos in your life there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of 2s there. 2's always been a kind of a good number for me. Mm-hmm. And then we just arbitrarily picked the rest of you guys just to throw you in line. It was okay. So Rudy 3, Dan's 4, Brian's 5, and Steve is 6. Okay, cool, done. Mm-hmm. Then the chaos began because we all wanted to do the shirt slightly different. Right. Like Mark got white with black lettering. I got black with white lettering. Rudy got white with
red lettering. White with red lettering, and I got red with white lettering.
Yeah.
So each two numbers they kind of opposite of each other.
Right. And then we all had our nicknames kind of silk screen, or was it? Those were patches that were ironed onto the shoulder.
The nicknames were on this, on the shoulder,
on the left sleeve of this T-shirt. Mm-hmm. And there are pictures of us in these damn T-shirts, and it's sad and demented, but social. Demented and sad, but social.
Yeah, but social.
Yes, but I think it's kind of. I mean, we were already a group. And we were like you had said last time. I can't say last week because we do every other week. We were not so much the outcasts or the misfits. We were just the guys who just didn't fit into a particular group, but we bonded together.
Right. We were, there was the table we sat at for lunch, the tables,
Mm-hmm.
right by the door we sat at for lunch in the cafeteria. We
Mm-hmm.
were, didn't have all the same interests by any means. We were all very
Right.
different, but for some reason we all bonded. And this was just sort of, we didn't have a name for anything. And for me, this was just sort of it gave us an identity. You
Right.
got, all the different,
We made our
you
own.
got your jocks, you got your brain, you got your whatever, but who are we?
Yeah. So we made our own. And I think
Right.
that's kind of that was what was very different about us was the fact that we didn't fall into a particular we made our own.
Yes.
And I just can't say that enough. And I want others to remember that, going forward, if you hear this, if you don't feel like you fit into a particular group, feel free to make your own, just
Right.
chart your own path, do your thing. We did,
You
and
don't
it
have to
worked.
fit into anything. Yeah, you don't have to fit in. This world shouldn't be about fitting in. It should be about making your mark.
Right.
How do you make your stamp on this world? How do what kind of impression do you want to make? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I I never felt like I fit into anything, and this was the first thing that I really felt like I was fitting into this group of the six dudes here that you know, you know, that we created here. And I was like, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then dude tapes came along somehow.
That's the legend. I think, is that the main reason why you brought it up was to talk about dude tapes?
No. I mean, that's part of it. But
Okay.
I mean, just the
It is.
whole identity part of the Six Dudes has been, it's meant a lot to me over the years because again, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have. I don't feel like I had an identity in high school. I was just there. I felt like I was under the radar a lot, but that made me
Mm-hmm.
feel like I was part of something or something that we created. It wasn't, not a huge monster thing, but I was part of something, and
Right. Right.
and
Right.
I'm friends with almost everybody till this day, except for poor Rudy who went his own way, but
Yeah, and that was the thing is we have our own like Beatles esque story where we were six all the way up to that summer after we graduated.
hmm
And then Rudy's like, "Well, I've had enough of you guys." And to be sure, he and I actually had a friendship beyond that for a while.
hmm
I remember when I first discovered Dungeons and Dragons when I got to
hmm
college. The three of us had our little interaction about it. We talked about it. You
yeah,
revealed to me how you were deep into it for a while, which was odd
hmm
that I didn't know that while we were in high school together.
yeah,
Right?
because I kind of stopped it during high school. I mean, stopped it, early on because I was doing it in like what seventh and eighth grade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing it at the Ogden Public Library is where I started it. There was
Wow.
the old library used to be in the village. I forget what it is now, but because it's moved out since.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this room, the second floor room, and I remember that's where I learned it up in that room in the old library using the old, the red box there.
So
And
Rudy
that's
had fallen into some folks who had a regular game,
mhm.
and I think by the winter time of our freshman year, he had invited me to join him, and so I think for like a year or two, I was semi regularly attending that particular game with him for a while, and so he and I had that
Yeah.
connection still, but then it
I was
started
around
to
for I was for a couple of years afterwards.
yeah.
I kept in some touch with him,
Mm-hmm.
but he did fade off after a while because
Well,
I
he found
remember
his
at
own way.
GMI. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he wanted to do his own thing, and that's it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just he was one of my best friends in high school, so I kind of I felt that loss.
Yeah.
But
And I knew it
yeah,
bothered you. I knew it bothered
hmm
you, which is why I didn't talk to you much about the times I would see him,
hmm
because I remember one time mentioning it, and you were like, "Oh, oh, really?" And it's always subtle, but I've known you well enough for long enough that I picked up on that was probably not cool of me to kind of because to bring it up. So I just kind of not so much kept it to myself, but I just didn't bother bringing it
hmm
up because I didn't want to rub that
yeah,
in your face at all.
hmm
But then six became five for a little while. But we had periphery folks. We had like Jason and Ed and Becky and Butcher and all those other guys. So it
hmm
was. I think we were even struggling with that towards the end of just before graduation from high school. We were like, well, we're really not just six dudes. We have all these other guys and people who are with us, the girls who are with us. We're and it's. I remember you and Mark even made the point of putting the six in quotes,
right,
and
yep.
you
So
had
he just
written. You had
Yeah,
written
I
a
have this.
little prose thing.
Yeah, I have to dig that up. But yeah, it was just more,
Hmm.
the six is just the number. It's not really, it doesn't represent how many we are or who we are. It's just
Hmm.
it just as went back to how we started. I mean, just as again, we didn't really fit anywhere. So we made
Right.
ourselves fit somewhere.
Right.
We made our place that we can fit in. So that's kind of what it represented to me, the whole six thing, so
Right.
that's what, that's why it meant, and still does to this day. I mean, it's been, however many years, and it's, it's still the
Hmm.
whole concept of just, we made ourselves, we made a place for us to fit, and that just, that was that's really what made senior year at Aquinas so much for me. I mean, because I felt like I
Yeah.
was part of something. I felt more like I belonged. Because I always felt like an outsider.
And I got to tip my hat to you because this is one of your for lack of a better, less corny way of putting it, what's one of your charms is you are very diplomatic, and you're able to see the positives in a lot of different things. Even when I've become jaded and cynical about stuff, you've been able to remind me, you know, the good. And I'm hoping, in my heart of hearts, that you're going to allow me to do that because for me, this particular story does not have a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even at this moment in time, I don't even consider myself one of the dudes anymore. And that's because
Fair enough.
I've had a couple of falling
Mm-hmm.
outs just in recent months,
Mm-hmm.
with one person in particular. And I don't want to speak ill of them, but it's obvious to me that the things that we held so dear, the differences and the diversity that we had in our opinions and our outlooks and things, had created a rift in the later years. And it's just, it's
Yeah.
hard to talk about even. And
Yeah.
I've drifted away from a couple of them by virtue of the fact that we just don't talk anymore. We don't socialize anymore. It's nothing that they said or did or anything I said or did. It's just we're in our
Different
circles are no
places.
longer converged. We're different places.
Different places. We grow and evolve, and think that's going to happen. And it's,
Yeah,
that's,
exactly. And
the
I
fact,
feel bad about it, but
yeah,
it's
it happens, and I'm kind of sad about it too. But
hmm
I know that it's happened. We haven't talked a lot about it, but I mean, we've talked enough about it where I know that rift is there.
hmm
And I still talk to pretty much everybody. Like I
yes.
said,
And I praise you for that because, like I said, you have that ability to do that, and I never want to dissuade you otherwise.
hmm
It went so far. You remember how I had the two pictures of the six of us up on my dining room wall for the longest time?
hmm
They're now in
yeah.
my office wall behind the door. So
hmm
when I'm doing something and I close the door, I see my guys. I see the history sitting there. So I didn't stash them away, but my dude T-shirt, I it's in a box and it's in the attic. It's been put away permanently. It's
hmm
stored. I could never throw that
yeah.
away. I can't fit in the goddamn thing anymore because it was large, and I'm twice the man I used to be. But damn,
Yeah. Yeah.
I look back at those pictures. I'm like, wow, I was scrawny.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
still have mine. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a part of our history. It's a part of,
it is. It
it's
is.
really, it might not be who we are today, but it was a part of my, it was, for me particular, it's part of my growing and part of my, yeah, I said, just having that belonging. And that's why when I went
Right.
into GMI, when I went, met with the Sigma Nu guys, had no plan to
Hmm.
go Greek, but it was a similar type of feel to the fraternity. So it was kind of,
Hmm.
to me, in some ways, it was kind of an extension because it was, we weren't the jock fraternity, we weren't the brain fraternity, we weren't the whatever fraternity. We were just a bunch of guys who, we had people from all
Just want to
different
hang out.
types of people, and we were all so very different. But it was a similar type of
Hmm.
thing where we just, okay, I bonded with these people. I could hang out with these people, and these are, again, we're not misfits. We're just all different. We're just all different people.
And
And
it was interesting to see that when Jay and Brian and I came up to visit you for your 21st birthday. It, you know, Jason and I were talking about it. And
mhm,
Brian joined in the conversation, in a little bit along the way, about on the drive home. We were talking about how familiar the Sigma Nu guys felt to us.
mhm,
And then like how, leave it to you to go to this remote little place and find basically the six dudes in a college format. You know,
Basically, yeah.
it was kind of impressive for us to notice that. I mean, like, I still think about it to this day that Stu and I were virtually twins, except for our different ethnicity. You know, there was a
Mhm.
different, there was an attitude, and there was a certain kind of ability to talk to people and kind of move through a room. And I was like, Jesus, this guy and I are cut from the same freaking
Uh,
cloth. It's amazing.
yeah, Stu was my probably my I to this day, I mean, I still see it on Facebook and stuff, and he's,
Hmm.
it's just, yeah, I mean, he's still the same
He's
guy,
good
and
people.
he
He's
is
just
such a
good
good
people.
person, and he was,
Yeah.
we shared a room for a while at the frat house,
Hmm.
and it felt natural. It felt, just being in the house for the most part. There's always going to be, 20, 30 guys in the house. There's always going to be some that you don't get along with, but for the most part,
Right.
it just felt natural just to be with them. It just felt like home. So, and
Hmm.
that's kind of what kept me at GMI for longer too. The fact that I loved hanging out with these guys, because
Right.
I was getting going into my third year. I knew my GMI time was probably not going to last much longer because it wasn't really, the school didn't feel right, but the frat house, but fraternity brothers
Hmm.
did.
The people
Those
did.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
but but anyways, the six dudes. And yeah, so I mean
So let's circle back
that's
around
why
to
it
dude
means so much
tapes.
to me. Yeah, due tapes.
Yeah. No, and rightfully so. Rightfully, I mean, it's the same for me to a particular degree. It was like almost having that. I mean, as an only child, right? I look
Hmm.
for the found family dynamic. You know, that's why it appeals to me so much. And you guys
Hmm.
were my found family. You know, you were my brothers for the longest time. You still are, you personally.
Hmm.
I couldn't imagine my life without you, honestly.
Hmm.
You know, and
Yeah, I mean,
that's sincere right there.
where
Um,
would we have gone at Aquinas without this? I mean,
oh Jesus, I can't even imagine. I mean, I walked between all the different circles, but I was never really a part of any of them. You
hmm.
know, so it
Yeah,
was
I mean,
nice to have that circle where that was
you
me.
did more walking than I did. I mean, you were, on yearbook and things like that. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't do much of. I really didn't do much of anything at Aquinas. I did, the drama club. I was doing the stage stuff and stuff. I wasn't, I
Hmm.
wasn't. I felt like I was there, but I wasn't really a part of it because I was kind of doing behind the scenes and building sets and
Right,
stuff like
right.
that. But I didn't really get as involved as I kind of wish I had. But I was
Hmm.
there, but not. I was there, but not there. I didn't really feel there until the six dudes. So, and that's
Hmm.
for me, that was just a big step. So it's in, yeah. So it meant a lot. And then yeah, then Dude Tapes came along.
And then dude tapes, and which was uh, just I can't even tell you how surreal that was because like most of the things in our lives, it started by accident.
Hmm.
I started because Mark Huber and I were working on a short story because we were all writers in our own little way. We always
Hmm.
wrote little short stories or books or we books, quote unquote books, together and whatnot. And usually it was like placing ourselves in these science fiction situations and we're the heroes. Okay, cool. We're always the hero of our own story. Um,
Of course.
but Mark and I were working on this really kind of oddball. I think I had just finally read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for the first time
Mm.
and was blown away by the humor and the imagination of it. And Mark and I were working on Hubie's Big Adventure, a
Oh,
play
you'd be
of Pee Wee's,
sure.
yeah,
Oh
a
yeah.
play of Pee Wee's Big Adventure and
Yep.
whatnot. And it was starting to snowball into other ideas. And I was trying to write notes down on a piece of paper and hand it to him, but stupid things would happen in high school because we didn't have the blessings of text messaging and SMS and email and things like that because it didn't exist.
Nope.
Paper would get lost or whatnot. And for whatever reason, I had a blank cassette and I had an old cassette recorder with a condenser mic and everything. And I popped it in and I hit record and I just started talking to Mark. It was basically an audio letter.
Hmm.
I got, how I am when I get riled up about an idea, right? So I hear the tape recorder click. And I'm like, oh, I'm done. Okay, cool. So I handed it off to Mark. I said, listen to it when you get a chance. Just have it on in the background or whatever. There's some stupid shit in here. Just deal with it. And he laughed. He's like, all right, cool. A couple of days later, he handed me back. He goes, listen, you got a B-side now. Okay. So I listened, and it was him playing off of what I had said. And those were the first four. We didn't know what we were doing yet, but we started entertaining each other. We were making each other laugh. We were putting inside jokes together just to make the other person laugh and see how outlandish it could get. And I can't remember how it devolved from there. Use the word devolved instead of evolved for a very obvious reason.
Oh, come on.
But then he decided to take it and run with it. He made the first actual production dude tape where it was almost like a late night talk show kind of a thing. He had the opening theme, he had bits, he had sound effects, he put music in, stuff like that. And then I think I was done pretty much at that point. I popped in the background in a couple from there on in, but I no longer made another one until 20. But Dude Tapes 1, 2, 3, and 4 got retro named those because it was just suddenly, this is Dude Tape. I can't remember what the hell he even called it, but this is where they get the name, the Dude Tape, and because we were the 6 dudes, so we make Dude Tapes. Okay, cool. And then just when we thought it couldn't get any stranger, is when the two of you came up with Dude Tape 14, and you
Tape 14
because Hubie was the first dude, you were the fourth, so 1-4. Yep. That's how Dude Tape got its name, 14. Yep. And I just remember listening to that and crying. I was laughing so hard because the two of you were just so damn weird, and it was perfectly wonderful. And so we marveled over that for a long time.
And ironically, because you said, pieces of paper got lost. We wrote the Dude Tape on pieces of paper, notes back and forth in class.
That's hilarious.
So I mean, I have from part 2.
Do you still have some of those notes still?
I still have those notes.
That's amazing.
Again, that stuff meant a lot to me. But yeah, I have all the notes from from 14. Actually, from 14 part 2. Well, I don't from
I was going to say, because there's a sequel to that sucker. 14 part 2 is more memorable to me. I remember more of part 2 than I do of part 1, to be honest.
Well, we spent a lot of time on part 2.
Yes,
there was a lot. Because part 2 was after Aquinas.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark was working at Radio Shack. I was going to school at Rockport at the time, so that was back in 97. So that was way after Aquinas. But we would meet at the Perkins out in Brockport after, I'll go because I'd have the night class. So class ended at 9, Radio Shack closed at 9. He was out in Brockport at Radio Shack. I was going to school at Brockport. So I'd meet him at Radio Shack after class, and then we go at the Perkins, and we, either be writing it at Radio Shack or at Perkins or a combination of both. And that's how that got done, because that was before 2000.
Dude Tape 11, because he did it with himself. That was it. That was what it was. Dude Tape 11 is where it started kind of going snowballing, because he recorded and he was having conversations with himself. And because you did a Dude Tape 44 at one point, where it was just you doing your thing.
Yep.
And you didn't number it 4 because we already had a 4.
Yes.
So sorry for that interruption, but it just dawned on me. Holy crap.
And yes, these still exist, everyone. We still have all these. These still exist.
You have them in digital format somewhere, don't you?
I mean, the first 4
are awful, don't they? They just sound terrible because it was old cassette that was being digitally. I mean, can you still understand what's being said?
Yes, I have to do that. I do have to listen to them again. I haven't listened to them in a while.
I think you know what would be funny is we should probably do a Monkey Business podcast where we do a retrospective of the Dude Tapes and kind of start finding bits and pieces, and we'll just have an hour of some of the best of the Dude Tapes.
Command the Enterprise.
Oh my God! Listening to Steve try to do his Uhura voice was just that was a laugh moment. That was an absolute laugh moment.
Aye, sir. Aye, sir.
Was there any problems with the transport? Sir. Just my eye, sir.
Oh gosh. The 14 part 2 is probably the culmination, because Mark and I we spent a lot of time writing it. It was 2 sides of an audio tape, so it was an hour long, or was it 90 minutes long?
Yeah.
Was it 90 minutes? I think
it
was 90 minutes long, because it was, and we had recorded it on videotape. Because it was, you can supposed to get a better quality at that time, before computers had the much memory as they do now and everything. And I kind of wish we had tried to record it on the computer, but we recorded on videotape, and that was our Mark was in the left channel as I was in the right channel, so it was a stereo. He'd be in the left and the man in the right, coming into your living room in full
stereo sound effects.
So yeah, you had to listen to it with a stereo headphone, because Mark was in the left here, I was in the right here. but we recorded it.
Hmm.
We had our studio in Mark's old house in his basement, and we spent a long time recording that thing, and part
Hmm.
three never came along, but we had planned on it. But yeah, so that was
Yeah, well,
again
that was the thing is when you guys did 14 too. That's when the ideas from everybody erupted, but the follow through, because we were so busy with everything else. We were always so busy with school or work or whatever the case may be.
life.
I mean, Hubie got married at 21, for crying out loud, and went right off into
Yeah.
the workforce.
And what
You know,
kids
so
came along after that.
yeah,
That was a big thing. Kids came along. I mean, we have
yeah,
we have Caleb when he was a baby on 14 part two.
uh huh,
So that was that was our the first. And he's just baby talk because he's just a baby. And
mm-hmm,
but then after that, 99 was when all a lot of the kids came along. So Mark had
mm-hmm,
there was the 99 was the big baby year. So that
yeah.
kind of all that together. Mark changed jobs and stuff like that, and yeah, there was a
Well, you and I
life.
at one point were trying to put together. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, so life just came into play. But
You and
yeah,
I
we
were
were
trying
trying
to
to
put
put together.
24 together, and
We were
it never worked.
that one thing messed us up. I think that the one thing lost our
Yeah,
steam.
that one
Mr.
cameo.
McGuire. We had
Yeah,
planned.
and
We went into Aquinas. The dean of students, Mr. McGuire at the time. He was the nicest guy, but especially when you weren't a student anymore, nicest guy. But and we went in and we got him to record a
mhm,
cameo, and I was recording it on a mini disc player because again at the time it was a good thing. And when we got home, it hadn't recorded. And so we did this whole big thing. We went in, he was all great. He did it for us. And we got home, it didn't record, and all the steam just left me. I don't know about you, but all the steam just
the
left me
air
at that
left the
point.
lungs.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, it
I
was a
was
gut punch.
so upset about
We
that
just lost our momentum at that point.
because
Yeah,
it was a I
you
don't know
know,
what the story
uh,
was about, but it was a
oh, it was a stupid time travel story where we turned the
yeah.
trunk of your rabbit into like the interior of a TARDIS.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And then it was just us going through time trying to figure something out, and just
Yeah.
being, it was like Bill and Ted met Doctor Who met the two of us. It was just, odd. It was odd. It was
Yeah.
fun, but it was odd. And but 42 is still an option. Actually, you know what? I probably at this point, you and I could probably say Monkey Business is our Dude Tape 42.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's just it's
this is really our due tape. I
Dan
mean,
and
this
Chris
is
Save the
really
World. This
yeah.
is going
I
to be
mean, this
Dude
is
Tape 42.
well. I mean, you said Dan and Chris, so 42. It kind of works out that way. So I guess
It
it kind
does
of
really, actually, when you think about
it
it.
does.
See, this is
Yeah.
why I keep you around. You're so much smarter than
Yeah.
I am.
We see things in different ways. That's the thing.
Yeah, we really do. We always have.
And we've
We
talked
really
about it.
have.
We compliment each other a lot because you look very nice in that hat, Chris. I mean,
You too.
you're
I mean, now that we got the video, I can see that handsome face of yours.
but yeah. I mean, so it's yeah. I mean, it's just we have a combination that works weirdly well.
Yeah.
And but we've and I guess where I kind of went from with the whole six dudes is we create our place, and that's what and it's kind of what FC3 is. We're creating our place in this community here.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. It's something we've always done. It's
hmm
okay. We don't have a niche to go to, then we're going to just go ahead and build our own and see what happens.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, and this is
Make your
kind of
own
the
place.
culmination of it.
Absolutely. Is that kind of what fan fiction is across the internet? Is kind of people building their own place or seeing themselves in the things they like? I mean, not all
The
fanfic
second part,
is.
seeing the thing, yeah, a lot of it is because a lot of fan fiction is taking existing stuff and you adding to it
Yeah.
versus creating something that's fresh. I know if it's fresh, it's not fan. So fanfic is fiction is putting yourself or putting your spin on existing fiction.
That's
So
valid. Yeah.
because otherwise, it's not you're not a fan unless you're a fan of yourself and you're putting yourself in your own fiction. I guess
I
maybe I don't know,
don't know if I'm that much of a fan
but
of myself. No,
but
I don't think
but
so.
no, but I mean, it kind of it's this kind of. So, Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore. But um,
Do we ever?
you know, jumping forward, I mean, do tapes. So we have a history. We have a history of doing this kind of thing. Long history,
Right.
from there's been big gaps, but we've always been, like you said before. You said the writing aspect has always been part of it, right? Having writing stuff and being creative, the creative aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Writing is just an aspect of
Mm-hmm.
being creative. That's how we and playing D&D is an aspect of being creative, because you have to to really have fun and get into it. You kind of have to be creative, let your imagination go,
Right.
right? So this is, I mean,
Absolutely.
and and
I
now
agree with you wholeheartedly.
and look at where our chosen genre is. Comic cons. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
How did we
And
get here? How did we
it,
get here?
and the funny thing is I kind of ask the question, is why didn't I get here sooner?
Right.
I wish.
I do wonder that from time to time.
I wish I again, these were something that I hadn't gone to any when I was younger. I know you had gone to like Doctor Who
Mm-hmm.
conventions and stuff, but I hadn't
A couple
gone to any
times.
when I was younger. But I haven't, I had no
Mm-hmm.
real experience in it. So experiencing one for the first time is like, why didn't I do this earlier? Why didn't I start this sooner?
Yeah,
Why did I wait so long for this? This
when we
is
had a
really,
different atmosphere to play with.
yeah. This is, and
Yeah,
I'm a little sad I didn't start this sooner, but I'm glad that I got into it at all. Because I do love,
that's there.
I, I do love what I love. I love the community. I love the creativity. I love just all the. I love everything about it. I mean, that's why. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had
It's
gotten
the
to do it
energy.
sooner. It's the energy again. It's the
Yeah.
creativity. And that's why I love
Mm-hmm.
cosplayers, because the creativity. I mean, yes, I mean a lot of them are good at. There's I think I see them as two parts. There's one, there's duplicating existing characters, and two, there's the ones that kind of
Mm-hmm.
evolve characters and make them their own. And I love
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
creativity to be able to make it and to reproduce a character. You see like the Iron Man and stuff like that. But the people who can
Oh God,
take
yeah.
the concept and then make it their own, make their evolve their costume into something different, but you still recognizable for what it was, and make it theirs. The creativity behind that is just, oh, it's amazing. That's why I love that part of it. I love, you know yeah. Oh. Just, yeah.
See, I try not to get in the way because you don't express yourself that expressively, for lack of a better way of saying it, on a Sunday morning. Um, Usually, that
Hmm.
to that level, and so I love to hear it when you really want to get into a moment. And so I don't want to trump on that. I'm going to sit back and just
Yeah,
kind of
it's
let them
okay.
go
Yeah, it's
this
just,
thing.
yeah. I mean, it's just, that's why. That's why. I mean, I loved the stuff that we did. I loved that we got into the Jew tapes. I loved being part of those. I loved,
Hmm.
our silly little stories that we wrote back then, especially in high school. So
Oh God,
day
yeah.
in the life. I remember my day in the life of a dude, and I gave it to Father Kelly to read. It's just the reaction. Father Kelly was our, my this hard ass, my Latin slash English teacher,
Yeah.
and
The
I gave
drama
him
director.
the drama director. He was the
Hmm.
he was the one where he would, if things were going bad, he would do a whole cigarette in one puff. They,
I saw that. Did you ever see that? Did you ever
I
see
did
that
see that.
happen?
Yes, yeah. I
I
mean, him
saw it
and
once
Mister
too, and
him
it
and
scared
Mister
the
what?
ever loving hell out of me.
Yeah, and he had the full ashtray, because back then they still got away with smoking in the school, especially in the
Right?
theater there during rehearsals. And yeah, things weren't
It
going
was a
well. And
battle conditions dress rehearsal of South Pacific, and something had happened, and one of the set pieces fell over, and there was a whole bunch of chaos. It bursted all at the one moment, and he yelled "cut" and said, "Everybody to the front of the stage!" And we knew we were in trouble. And he lit the cigarette, and he took the whole damn thing in one drag. And I just remember looking at a couple of people and fearing for my life at that moment in time. I was scared.
yeah, our Latin classes were about as bad. He'd have to leave our Latin classes frequently because things were going that bad. He had to go get a puff.
Uh-huh.
He's just like walk out of the class because it wasn't the best class in the world. Latin was, yeah. Anyways, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I
Well, you
gave
know why
him
Latin died out as a language, right?
why.
Did you ever the actual anthropological reason for the reason that Latin died out? Because demons were being summoned during normal conversations.
That
People
actually
got
happened
tired
in
of it,
high
so they
school.
just stopped speaking Latin.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You're like, shut up.
So,
See, everybody who knows Dan knows that when he pauses, he goes, "Yeah, okay." It's basically Dan's way of saying, "Can you just shut the fuck up, please?"
but I gave this teacher my story, a life day in the life of a dude. Because we had just
Right.
read a day in the life of Ivan, whatever, Ivan Dines, whatever.
Desinovich. I
Yes,
remember
that
that
one.
book.
And so I wrote a day in the life of a dude. I gave it to him. He read it. I assume he read it. He gave it back to me, looked at me, and walked away. But he just gave me this look. He's like, oh my gosh.
Do
He's
you
like, I
still
don't believe.
have that? Do you
I
still
do
have
still
that
have it.
day in
Yes,
the life?
I
May I read
do.
it sometime, please?
Sure,
I
I
think
will.
there's a box. I think there is a box somewhere in my attic that has some of my high school and early college writings, and
Hmm.
I want to find that box just so I could basically put it on a bonfire and be done with it. But there's
Oh, come
also
on.
that
It's so
morbid
fun.
curiosity. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. Grammatic.
Uh,
I think Hubie said it best. It was a grammatical inferno. It was-
I still have all of mine. I know where they are. I have them all. I think a
Mhm.
lot of them are a lot of them are digital, not all of them. I think most of them are digital though. But I still have the hard copies, I believe. But again, it was a period of time there that
Yeah,
it just, I mean, that's what happened during that time. So,
yeah.
yeah. But it was, again, creativity, what charming
Hmm.
creativity it was. Um,
People like to. People our age will often talk about, Jesus, where'd all the time go? Suddenly, boom! I'm so old now. What happened? I was a kid once, and the snap of a finger, and it's all over. What happened? And it's easy to fall in. This is something I've been thinking about for the past couple of weeks, and I don't know what spurred me to go this way, but there you have it. Um, I've been actively trying to remember events in my life and looking back at them,
mhm,
and not just with the need to recall a memory, but bringing a memory forth and remembering what brought me to that point, what happened during that point, why is it still important to me that it's actually still a memory, and along the way, I've been able to kind of be like, no, no, my 50 years haven't gone in a blink of an eye. They haven't been a snap of a finger. There has been a day to day progression. I have been around for a while. I have seen a lot of things, and it's helping me look back. I take the time to just sit and try to remember events
mhm,
and then kind of savor that moment instead of wallow that it's gone, instead of mourning the fact that it's so far in the back door, in the backyard there in the past, that it's something happened. It's a step along the way to who I am right now.
mhm.
And along the way, I've had to deal with some memories that were not pleasant.
Right. Not
Yeah,
everything's going to be pleasant,
no, not everything's going to be
but they
pleasant.
are part of what they're all part of you.
Exactly. And I try to, and I'll armchair quarterback the moment. I'll be like, well, geez, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I did this? And okay, yeah, but
Mm,
can you do anything about that? No,
no.
you know, but forward, ho we go. And but
Yeah.
it's helped me kind of stave off that feeling that time has flown by and that time is going by faster and time is doing this and that and the other thing. The next thing I know, I'm going to be ancient and near death. And I'm trying to kind of put perspective back into things, and it's helped.
Mhm.
It's helped a bit. I don't know if it's
Yeah, I
there.
mean, it's easy to kind of forget things and that's why time seems like it went by so fast.
Yes.
Because it's
One
not.
minute I was playing with Legos out in the yard with the gang when I was 10, but next thing now I'm paying a mortgage at 50. But
Right.
if you forget your first day of freshman year of high school, if you forget that time sophomore year where you walked into the auditorium for the first time with the intent of auditioning for one of the plays, if you forget how you felt when you walked into the junior prom, the senior ball, when you walked the stage at graduation, if you forget the excitement you felt for going to college for the first time, your first heartbreak, your first love, your first, failure, your first success, if you forget all of those moments in between, then yeah, time is a blink of an eye. It
Mm-hmm.
disappears very fast. But if you take the moment to kind of just stop and go, okay, I've done some stuff.
I've learned a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
I mean,
It's going to be easier for future generations because of the internet and because of smartphones and having pictures and selfies. And, you're going to be able to look back at those moments and remember how you felt when you took
mm-hmm.
that picture. I don't have that as much. I mean, which is
Right.
weird coming from a person who was a photographer for such a long time, but I didn't get myself in front of the camera that often.
Yeah. But I mean, for a while, I kept a journal. I mean,
Hmm.
diary journal, whatever you want to call it. I did that for a long time because I had so many feelings I didn't know how to deal with, and writing them down helped a lot. And I went through that a year or so ago again, and it's like, oh wow, I
I
forgot
remember.
so much of this stuff there, and it was
Yeah.
very it was very interesting to go back. And there was a time where I was like doing it almost daily, and then it was more sporadic, and then I eventually stopped altogether. But I'm glad I did, and I
Hmm.
wish I had done it more because didn't realize how much I had forgotten and how much. Oh yeah, that was an important thing. I'm glad it's yeah. I mean, like you said, if I had done it differently, what would have happened? But obviously you can't do that. So, but
Hmm.
it's just interesting to see. Okay, this is the choice I made. This is what came of it. So if I'm ever, but again, it's learn from your mistakes type of thing. But this is what made me. I did
Yeah.
go through a lot of this stuff. There was a long period of time where I went through a lot of things. And oh yes, let me think about other times I didn't write down. Oh yeah, I did do, during that time I did do this or I did do that, or there was a lot of stuff going on. And yeah, I mean it's you shouldn't dwell on the past, but it's good to remember it and just and remember what you've gone through to get to where you are. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
I guess.
And don't be afraid of the pain. Don't we, we're so afraid of, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of this because when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of cowardice in my life. I
Hmm.
wonder I wonder what I'd be like if I actually walked the talk. There are times where a lot of people have a very interesting impression of me, which is great because there are days where I can put the foot down and bring the thunder. Great, okay, fine, but I second guess myself a lot, and
Hmm.
I think the more we're comfortable with the pain, and it's harder. It's hard. Nobody wants to hurt you
No,
know and even people who are like, oh, I bring it on, I can handle it. There's always going to be something in the back of your mind that's like, I really just don't want to deal with that. um
no.
and I'm not saying you have to savor and soak in it or anything like that, but just acknowledge it, be
Hmm.
honest with it, be open with it, say, hey, okay, that hurt, or this is going to hurt. Saying the right thing and making the right decision is going to be painful. Okay.
But maybe it's
um
only painful now. But
right.
I know from experience that long term, this is the best thing.
Right. I mean, I'm separated. I'm not in a
Hmm.
marriage anymore. And that decision was not easy. I mean, for those of you from the outside who
Yep.
were looking in at the two of us together, it was a very volatile and very unfortunate relationship. It had a lot of great things come out of it. My kids are wonderful, and Erica and
Hmm.
I are very proud of them. They've come a long way, and they're very interesting and dynamic people, and I love the both of them. But there are days where I'm like, Jesus, what if I never got into this relationship with Erica in the first place?
What if
You
I had
know,
never left you alone? No,
yeah, no, seriously, this is entirely your fault. You left me alone for a weekend, and I went out with Erica for the first time, and that was it. You went on some sort of work vacation or work trip or something like
something
that.
I don't remember what.
Yeah, you left me unsupervised. You're a grown ass adult, yeah, but you left me unsupervised, and the rest is history. So this is all your fault.
We joke about this, but yes,
Yes, we
it's
do. We do. This is not the first time he and I have had that exchange, and we still laugh about it too.
but you
But
got some
no,
great kids out of it, though.
yeah, they're
I mean,
amazing. They're
I
amazing,
mean, there's good and bad to everything.
right? And it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting conflux of emotions when I moved out of that house into the one I'm in now,
Mm-hmm.
and made that break, that this part of my life is now over, and I am now going into this part of my life and the next part. And it was not a smooth transition. It was very difficult, and you were one of the people who helped me get through it. So I appreciate that, by
Mm-hmm.
the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's. I don't, how did we get here in this conversation? We were
I don't know.
talking about
Just a
this
second.
is the
Yeah,
two of us.
I have to close the door. You talk for a minute.
You have to close the door. Okay. I'm just. It's. This is amazing. This is how our brains work. Really, this is what you're going to see during the course of this the
Okay.
series of podcasts. Is you're gonna basically, Dan and Chris are going to be talking about one thing and then end up talking about two or three other things along the way. Those topics may or may not be related. It's entirely up to chance at this stage.
This is all kind of related. I mean, it's kind of. I mean,
Mhm.
it goes into. I mean, looking at the past, the six dudes were a part. You know, a part of my past. That is part of what made. You know, looking back, it's all related.
Mhm.
So you know, we
Mhm.
started on one place, and it's related. It's just the conversation evolved.
Yeah, and that's what a normal conversation does, isn't it? You
Mm-hmm.
know, especially when you're
Yes.
among your closest friends. You know, you're talking about one thing. Oh, I want to talk about the. Oh, and that reminds me, I want to talk about this. Oh, completely
Yes.
unrelated, but this thought's on my mind. Let's talk about this. And you know, that's how you and I operate, really.
Yeah, and this time we're talking about kind of how we became who we are. I think a lot of this, especially the last episode today, we're doing
Hmm.
how we met, how we became who we are, what things that make us who make us us. You
Yes,
know, and we'll talk about, we can, you know, in future ones talk more about, you know, some of the crazy stuff we did to get, you know, the outside, you know, Renaissance Fair trips, or, you know, our
hmm
Florida trip, or this, or, you know, just things that, you know, just our crazy stuff that
the
we've
time you took me
done.
skiing, which I will never forgive you for.
I wasn't going to say that, but now that you brought it up,
the, the time that Dan took me skiing, that's a whole podcast because there's not enough swear words for it.
see, I took him skiing without really thinking that he's never been on skis. Maybe we should start, you know, it's something easy. Let's just go to the top of the
Mhm.
hill.
Well, no, I was like, so you're going to take me to the bunny hill route, right? No, no, no. We'll take you to the easiest hill and we'll teach you on the way down. This will be fine. And I knew that this was a bad. It's like
Uh,
almost Morgan Freeman moment. At that moment, he knew he fucked up. You know?
yeah, we should have spent more time at the bottom of the hill before taking you to the very top of the hill. It was rated as an easy slope, but it was the
For you,
longest slope. But
for
no,
you.
it was a green circle there. It was just happened to be the longest slope on the thing, and you had never skied before. It was not a very good decision on my part.
I'm just glad you've grown to be able to admit that in public. I'm just saying that right now.
I admitted it from the beginning. It's like, this was not a very good decision. It took us forever to
Yeah,
get down the
like for instance, when I got off of the ski lift and immediately ran over a ski patrol
hill.
and fell over. I mean, I
And it,
got off the lift and fell over, took a guy out at that very moment. It was immediate. Cause and effect. Get off the ski lift, lose balance, grab ski patrol, both go down. That was the auspicious beginning of my career as a downhill skier.
and amazingly enough, we're still friends today. Our friendship is.
Our French,
Uh,
well, to be fair, I've gotten my revenge over the years. So,
yeah.
you threaten my life, I raise your blood pressure. It's basically equal.
Oh, yeah. That was not a pretty sight, but yeah.
Oh God! Luckily, I was able to laugh at the bottom of the hill.
It was me,
So,
you, Rudy, and did
Karen,
Karen go with us? Karen. Yep. Okay.
yeah, it was you,
Yep.
me, Rudy, and Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she fared a lot better than I did. It was her first time too, but I think it's because she was smaller and lighter, so
No,
she didn't hit as hard as
no, she had skied before, I think. I thought she had
once or
skied
twice.
before. I thought she
I
had
was under
skied.
the
It
impression
wasn't her
she
first
hadn't.
time on skis, because I think you were the total newbie there.
Yeah.
I, I think with two newbies, you would have. I don't know if you would have survived, but I think she had skied before. But
For
yeah,
those of
yeah.
you who are keeping score on the life and times of Dan and Chris, I have forgiven him, but I choose to remind him every so often for my own amusement.
Well, that's part of the fun, right? It's
It
part of the fun
is.
of being best friends and knowing someone for most of your life. There, jeez.
I know we have a long time ago. We passed that border of having known each other longer than we've gone without each other.
That's
Because
a
let's see,
long time ago.
Yeah. I mean,
That would
well,
have
let's
been
see.
like 28. That would have been
We're
we were
29,
28,
28, 29, something like
29,
that is
something
when we
like that.
passed
Yeah.
that marker.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has those one or two guys, girls, whatever that you've been with and can't think of your life without, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's you, my boy. That's it.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, seriously.
We've had our moments.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about someday when we moved in together. It was a good time, but it was also start of the. That's when I left you alone. Hmm.
There were reasons.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
yeah, uh, so much.
we do stress each other out, but we're family, so we deal with it.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah. It's been overly positive, though. I mean, come on, it's been the non-stress time is a lot less than the stress
Oh
time.
God,
By
yeah,
the way,
absolutely.
the non-stress time not more than the stress of that backwards. There, there haven't been a lot of high stress times that we're not going
Well,
to be
they've
friends
revolved
after
around
this
the
type of
convention.
things. Yeah, well,
They've revolved around the convention mainly. That's when you and I usually have fought, and that's only been in the past 4, 5, 6 years at this point. Six.
and there's only been a couple times that we really came to the head on that. There's only been a couple
Mhm.
times when that's really been just that bad, where I was just been so. Actually, I just remember one time when I was just so pissed off, but time
Mhm.
heals. It's that one
Well,
thing was not going to ruin everything. It was just more of.
exactly. Well, that's the thing is we have that long history of there's always that little voice in the back of the head that screams and holds you in check, so that yes, we acknowledge that we've been angry with each other. We
Hmm.
acknowledge that we can be angry and that we have a valid reason to be angry, but we also know that the other person is too important to let that anger run the whole conversation. We
Hmm.
can have our opinions. We can defend or attack mistakes made or whatever the case may be, but the overall feeling is not, I don't want you to have revenge on you. I don't want to punish you. I want to let you know that I'm pissed and how are we going to work through this, because there's always this overwhelming feeling in the back of my head. You are too important to me to lose. So I'm going to work this shit out with you.
Right.
And we're
How do
going
we
to
move past this? Is that was always
exactly.
the thing? How are we going to
And we've
move
always
past
managed.
this?
And we've
Yes.
always been able to, because the greater story has always been more important than that immediate moment. So,
Hmm.
and then
Yes.
we just keep it in mind so we don't make the same mistakes twice.
Right.
And then there's me who goes making mistakes 4, 5, 6 times because I'm so good at it. I want to keep doing it. You
Yeah.
know,
Why stop if you're that good?
why stop if you're a professional at making mistakes?
That's right.
So,
But
uh,
so yeah.
yeah,
So welcome to our life, everybody. This is our
that's it.
life. This is
This is,
the you're getting a glimpse into Dan and Chris,
yeah, who these two
and
guys are.
somehow after all this, we're going to save the world.
Maybe this is how we do it, just by talking about how we go through crap, and people, if you pick something up, great. Or if you learn what not to do by listening to us, then so be it. He makes you better. I don't
We,
want to be
we have
like
a
these
lot
two
of,
Nimrods.
we
Let
have
me
a
do
lot
this
of what
thing.
not to do. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Don't
yeah,
plan
yeah,
don't
yeah.
plan big events and count on many people to participate.
If they build
Yeah.
it, they will come.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I
So
know. So what's next?
I think that's probably good for today, right?
That sounds good. I mean, we're climbing up on the hour marker. I see 53 something or other at the moment.
Yeah, I think that, but I think that it's.
We don't need
I
to get
wanted
into
to,
another conversation yet.
no, I mean, I wanted to kind of do because you always say welcome dude, welcome back dude and dudettes and stuff like that, and that I kind of wanted to get into where the dude part came into, why that's
Well, that's a thing.
why is it why is it that's the thing, because the
You
dudes
know,
are.
Dan, that's a very dudacious thought.
It is dudacious.
Dudacious.
And that's why if you ever hear us yell when the number 6 is said, it's kind of that's where that comes into play
That's a
also.
Brian thing. Brian started that. I remember during his graduation party, we were talking about six something, and he was so annoyed because at that time he was like, "Oh God, does everything have to be six dudes, six dudes, six dudes?" So somebody would say six, and he'd get freaking cranky.
Ah!
So that's where that actually evolved from. You hear 6, ah!
Ah!
In case you've ever wondered, because Dan and I have done
Oh,
that during Monkey Business podcasts with no explanation whatsoever.
sometimes it just comes out.
Yes, it does.
And maybe we'll release some of the dude tapes if we talk to the right people and we get permission. Release it's just so you can hear some of what happened there, what there was. You go into we'll
Yeah.
put little snippets of dude tapes of in maybe this recording or something, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just to kind of let you hear some of this stuff. So yeah,
Or future
but
recordings. Absolutely.
mm-hmm. We'll let you be. If you thought
So,
you were scared now, wait till you hear this.
just wait. So, friends out there, I mean, it was great. There's been a couple of you who've listened to our podcast series so far. So, if you have questions
Mm-hmm.
for us, if there's things that you want us to talk about, life events that we've gone through, or just, hey, Chris and Dan, have you guys done this? Hey, Dan and Chris, have you guys experienced this? Ask us, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. We'd be happy to make.
Would you like a live one? Would you like us to go on StreamYard, do it on, Facebook Live? We'd like to do a Facebook Live of our podcast here.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fun.
Would you guys like to participate? And you can ask us questions as we go. You can, or whatever, or just comment,
Uh-huh.
or
Uh-huh.
tell us what to talk about. So yeah, I think that'd be fun too. It kind of, yeah,
With all questions within reason. Dan and I will, if you ask us a question, Dan and I will talk about it. And if we think we
mm-hmm.
got some material for you, we'll definitely we'll offer that up. So that sounds
Yeah,
like fun. So okay, so cool, so good. And so
yeah,
thank you yet again for listening to us as you always do, and we appreciate you. Have a great week. Have a safe week. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks on Dan and Chris Save the World. Dude Tape
yay!
42.
There you go. UK 42.
There it is.